I heard the laugh before I felt the sting. You know how sometimes a single sound can cut deeper than any words?
Yeah.
That was the laugh, my sister's mean little snort, followed by my mother's high-pitched giggle that always made me feel 10 years old again. Where's your husband and kids, Mandy? Oh right, you don't have any. Then the chorus, my parents laughing along like she just told the joke of the year. I froze in the doorway of my parents' dining room in Cary, North Carolina, holding a casserole I'd spent 3 hours making. The warm smell of cheese and garlic filled the room, but all I could smell was humiliation. My sister, Jennifer, didn't even look up from her perfect little family gathered at the table. She just smirked, brushed her highlighted hair behind her shoulder, and kept eating. That was the moment I knew something inside me had cracked, even if the glass in my hand hadn't. If stories like this hit you hard, well, you're not alone. If you've ever been mocked by your own family, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Sometimes sharing it is the first step to taking the power back. And trust me, I took it back. But not before everything got a whole lot worse. My parents have always adored Jennifer. She was the pretty one. The married one. The mother of 2 perfect little boys who could do no wrong. The daughter who lived 15 minutes away and visited every weekend. Me? I was the daughter who moved to Charlotte for work. The daughter who loved her career, her independence, and her quiet apartment with too many houseplants. The daughter who, at 37, was still single. To my family, that last fact made everything else invisible. Ambitious, my mom said once. But lonely. As if the two couldn't exist together. So every Sunday dinner turned into Jennifer's stage. Her husband bragging about his job. Her kids showing off their new soccer trophies. Jennifer tossing comments my way like daggers wrapped in fake sweetness. You still renting? Must be nice not having responsibilities. Oh, you traveled alone again? That sounds sad. Still no boyfriend? You should try harder. My parents never stopped her. Sometimes they laughed. Sometimes they nodded. Sometimes they ignored me completely. But that night was different. That night was the first time Jennifer mocked me so openly, so loudly, so cleverly that my parents actually cheered her on. And that was when something heavy settled in my chest. Not sadness. Not jealousy. Not even anger. Something quieter. And much more dangerous. A decision forming. Jennifer and I grew up in different households. She got the spotlight. I got the background light. In high school, she was voted most likely to marry rich. I was voted most likely to move away. Funny how both came true. Jennifer married Evan, the charming guy with a too-wide smile and a love for craft beer. I built a tech consulting career from scratch, worked my way up, and bought my first rental property before 35. But to my parents, married with kids, always outranked successful and independent. When I bought my townhouse, my mom's reaction, maybe now a man will find you more appealing. When Jennifer announced her second pregnancy, my mom cried tears of joy. That's how the hierarchy worked. My accomplishments were invisible. My value measured by a ring I didn't have. So when Jennifer mocked me that night, it hit all the old bruises that had never fully healed. But it also did something else. It woke up a part of me that had stayed quiet for too long. And it whispered, you don't have to keep letting them treat you like this. What I didn't know was that Jennifer's perfect life was already crumbling behind the scenes. And I was about to find the first crack. 2 days after the dinner, I got a text from my mom. Can you come help me organize files? You're better at this than Jennifer. That was the closest thing to a compliment she'd given me in years. I drove to her house after work, ready to sort receipts and medical documents. My mom's office was a mess: paper stacks, old bills, envelopes, sticky notes from 2004. But then, buried under a pile of gardening magazines, I found a folder labeled Jennifer, urgent. Inside? A printed email chain. Legal language. A letter from a mediator. Something about marital counseling sessions. Another about financial evaluation. And at the bottom, a note that made my breath catch. Recommended next steps if separation proceeds. My stomach flipped. Jennifer. Miss Perfect Family. Miss I have everything Mandy doesn't. Her marriage was hanging by a thread. My mom walked into the room, saw what I was holding, and her entire face changed. Snatching the papers from my hand, she snapped. That's private. Don't you dare mention this to anyone. She slammed the drawer shut. And then, in a voice sharp enough to cut bone. This is why we can't trust you, Mandy. You always make things about you. Make things about me? I'd been invisible my entire life. But now they wanted me invisible for Jennifer's sake. To protect her image. To preserve her mask. I left without another word. That was the exact moment I realized. My family didn't just ignore my life, they expected me to guard my sister's secrets while she mocked mine. And that was the first spark of the revenge I didn't even know I was planning. A week later, it got worse. Jennifer invited everyone in our extended family to her son's 10th birthday party, except me. I found out because my cousin texted. Hey, are you coming Saturday? Jennifer said you're traveling? I wasn't traveling. I wasn't even invited. So I called Jennifer. She answered on speakerphone, her voice dripping with fake innocence. Oh, Mandy, it just didn't make sense for you to come. You don't have kids. You'd be bored. Plus, people might ask uncomfortable questions. Like what? I asked. You know. A pause. Why you're still single. In the background, I heard Evan say something, but she muted quickly, as if she didn't want me hearing him. Then she ended the call with, It's nothing personal. You're just not family-oriented. Not family-oriented. Because I didn't have kids? Fine. But when I found out later that even my parents were going and hadn't told me, I realized the truth. It was personal. Jennifer wanted me out of the picture. She wanted the attention. She wanted the spotlight, the sympathy, the image of the perfect sister, carrying the family legacy. But all I could see was the folder I'd found. The mediation letters. The cracks. And I wondered how long she'd been pretending. That night, I made a quiet promise to myself. If Jennifer wanted to treat me like I didn't exist, then I'd stop protecting the image she existed for. And soon, I'd get the chance. 2 weeks later, my parents invited me to dinner. I thought maybe, just maybe, they wanted to make amends. I walked into the house to find Jennifer and Evan already there, sitting on opposite ends of the couch, tension heavy between them. My dad cleared his throat. We wanted to talk, he said. And that was when Jennifer did it again. Mandy, she began, crossing her legs carefully like she was posing for a magazine cover, you know how hard things have been for us. And, we need family right now. I waited. And since you don't have a husband or kids, she continued, you have the most free time. So we were thinking, maybe you could watch the boys for a while. Help us out. I blinked. That's why I'm here? Jennifer smiled like she was doing me a favor. Come on. It's not like you have anything tying you down. That sentence was the hit. The one that finally shattered what was left of my patience. But the real betrayal came next. My mom chimed in with, "You should feel honored, Mandy. This is what family does. Jennifer always needs more support than you. More support than me. The woman who mocked me for years. The woman who excluded me from her kids' party. The woman whose failing marriage I was accidentally keeping secret." My dad added quietly, "Maybe if you helped out more, people would see you differently." People. Meaning them. I stood there, looking at all three of them, and something went cold inside me. This wasn't a request. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't reconnection. It was manipulation. They wanted me to hold Jennifer's life together while they kept tearing mine down. And in that icy, perfectly silent moment, I had the clearest thought I'd ever had. I'm done begging for their respect. It's time they see who I really am. This, right here. This was the turning point. I drove home that night in silence. Not angry. Not crying. Not shaking. Just calm. The kind of calm that only shows up when a person finally stops trying to be accepted. I sat in my living room, lights off, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, staring at the ceiling. And I said out loud, "No more. No more being their punching bag. No more letting Jennifer's insults slide. No more playing the family scapegoat. No more hiding her secrets while she broadcasted my life as a joke." I didn't plan revenge that night. I planned freedom. But freedom has a funny way of becoming the sharpest revenge of all. And once the plan began forming in my mind, everything started falling into place almost on its own. But here's the part that surprised even me. My revenge didn't start with exposing Jennifer. It started with building myself. And that was what changed everything. Before I take you into how it all unraveled. If you're still here, thank you. And if you've ever had to rebuild yourself after family tore you down, hit the like button so I know I'm not alone. Because what came next? Well, even I didn't see it coming. When you stop trying to prove yourself to people who don't care, something incredible happens. You have all that energy left for yourself. I threw myself into work. Not because I wanted to brag. But because it finally felt good to invest in something that didn't judge me. I led a new project at my consulting firm. Worked late. Got promoted to team lead. Bought a second rental property. Started therapy. Joined a women's hiking group. My life was blooming, quietly, steadily, beautifully. My parents barely noticed. Jennifer didn't ask once. But the universe has a strange sense of timing. Because while my life was rising, Jennifer's was collapsing. And I didn't have to lift a finger to make it happen. 3 months after a babysitting ambush, I got a call from Evan. At first I thought it was a butt dial. But then I heard him whisper, "Can we talk? Privately?" He sounded exhausted. Worn out. Defeated. We met at a Starbucks 20 minutes from his house so nobody would see us. He told me everything. The fights. The counseling. Jennifer's spending. Her temper. Her constant need for attention and validation. Her obsession with comparing herself to me, even though she mocked me constantly. And the final blow. She told me, he admitted quietly, that she only married me because she thought Mandy would be married first. She couldn't stand the idea of being the last one. I sat there stunned. All the times she mocked me. All the jokes. All the digs. It wasn't confidence. It was fear. I wasn't her failure. I was her competition. And suddenly everything made sense. I didn't tell him about the folder. Didn't tell him about my family's behavior. Didn't tell him what Jennifer had said about me. I just listened. When he finished, he said something that would have made me laugh if it didn't hurt so much. You're the only one who seems like you have your life together. Imagine that. The woman who was mocked for not having a family was the one people trusted when their perfect family was falling apart. Life is strange like that. I didn't plan what happened next. It came to me like fate. My parents decided to throw a big family barbecue, extended family, neighbors, coworkers. A chance to show off the family. They put Jennifer in charge of organizing everything. I was invited this time, but the invitation felt like an afterthought. Still, I went. Not for them. For myself. To prove, to me, that I wasn't afraid of them anymore. When I arrived, the yard was full of people. Kids running around. Music playing. My parents smiling like politicians. Jennifer was rushing around frantically, snapping at people, her hair frizzing in the humidity, Evan trailing behind her with a defeated expression. She looked nothing like the woman who used to smirk at me from across dining tables. She looked fragile. And then it happened. Right in the middle of the barbecue, one of Jennifer's sons threw a tantrum. She screamed at him, louder than she meant to. People turned. Silence fell. Evan tried calming her, but she shoved his hand away and shouted. Don't tell me how to parent. I'm doing everything myself anyway. The words hung in the air like smoke. Their cracks were now visible to everyone. Jennifer, realizing it, straightened up and forced a smile, then made the mistake of looking in my direction. That's when she snapped. Are you happy, Mandy? She yelled. Do you like seeing me struggle? Does it make you feel better since you have nothing? That was it. Everyone turned to me. Eyes. Whispers. Silence. My moment had arrived. But I didn't yell. Didn't insult her. Didn't throw her secrets in her face. I simply stepped forward, took a calm breath, and said, Jennifer, I have never wanted anything but respect from you, and from this family. But every time I showed up, you mocked me. Not because my life was empty. But because yours was. A murmur rippled through the crowd. I continued, voice steady. I don't need a husband or kids to be worthy. My life isn't lacking just because it looks different from yours. But the way you treat people? That's what's lacking. My mom started to interrupt, but I held up a hand. And for the first time, she went quiet. I finished with, You've been drowning, Jennifer. And instead of asking for help, you dragged me under with you. I won't let you anymore. By the time I finished, Jennifer's face had crumpled, not in anger, but in shock. Evan looked at me like he finally saw me for the first time. And my parents? They were pale. Ashamed. Speechless. Exactly the kind of exposure I promised. No screaming. No insults. Just truth. And truth can be the loudest revenge of all. After my speech, Jennifer stormed inside. Evan followed. My parents followed him. Family members whispered, unsure whether to pretend nothing happened. I stayed outside, watching the sun dip behind the trees, feeling lighter. After 20 minutes, my mom came out. But something was different. Her voice wasn't sharp. It was small. Mandy, can we talk? We walked to the side of the house, where the air was cool and quiet. She wrung her hands like she wasn't sure what to do with them. We didn't realize how much we hurt you, she said. And we didn't realize how much Jennifer was struggling. I didn't respond. She continued, Evan told us everything. About their counseling. About the fighting. About the money problems. And about how Jennifer treated you. I'm not saying it excuses anything, but we were wrong. My mom rarely apologized. But in that moment, she looked like a woman who finally understood the daughter she'd ignored for years. My dad later joined us and apologized too. Not perfectly. Not gracefully. But genuinely. And while that didn't erase decades of pain, it was the beginning of something new. Boundaries. Respect. Self-worth. Jennifer didn't speak to me for a month. Not a text. Not a call. Nothing. Honestly? It was peaceful. Then one afternoon, she showed up at my townhouse. Eyes puffy. Hands shaking slightly. Can we talk? We sat on my porch steps. She stared at her hands as she whispered. I'm sorry. For everything. I hated myself, Mandy. And I took it out on you. Every time I felt insecure or scared or overwhelmed, I looked at you and it reminded me of everything I wasn't. I didn't interrupt. She continued. You were independent. Successful. Calm. And I was drowning. I thought if I made you look small, I'd feel bigger. A tear rolled down her cheek. But it didn't work. It just made me mean. It wasn't a dramatic apology. It wasn't a miraculous transformation. But it was honest. And I accepted it, not for her, but for me. We rebuilt slowly. Carefully. With boundaries this time. With respect. Her marriage didn't survive, but she handled the separation with maturity I'd never seen in her before. And my relationship with my parents. It improved. Not magically. But intentionally. Because I wasn't invisible anymore. I didn't let myself be. Everything changed when I stopped begging for space in my own family and started creating it myself. I learned that silence isn't respect. Laughter isn't love. And mockery isn't truth. Today, I live a life I'm proud of. A life I built for me, not for approval, not to meet expectations, not to fit a picture someone else drew. Jennifer and I speak regularly now, but from a place of equality. My parents treat me like a full member of the family, because I demanded it, quietly and firmly. And I finally understand something. You don't need to expose people. You just need to stop hiding their behavior. The truth does the rest. Family can be your biggest support, or your deepest wound. And sometimes, the only way to heal is to stand up and say, I deserve better than this. Because you do. We all do. My life didn't change because I took revenge. It changed because I took control. If this story touched you, or if you've ever felt unseen in your own family, leave a comment, subscribe, and tell me you're here. Your voice matters, especially if they tried to silence it.